Hi, I'm Brayden,
And I'm Jacob.
and welcome to this month's edition of TNT. So it's been about a good month since we've heard all that's gone on in the school. So here's Evan to tell us all about the high school events that have happened this month.
Hello, I'm Evan Rosenau, reporting for Tiger News Television on High School News. On April 2nd, the JV boys tennis team traveled to Abilene. The JV baseball team played at home versus Council Grove, and there was an academic awards night at the high school. On April 4th, the juniors took science state assessments, and FFA went to Beloit. On April 5th, the juniors took state assessments again. The varsity boys tennis team played at home. The forensics team traveled to Wamego. The varsity baseball and softball teams played at home versus Wamego, and the track team traveled to Russell. On April 6th, the seniors took a graduation photo. On April 7th, the forensics team traveled to Jeff West, and there was an FFA banquet at the high school. On April 9th, the forensics team traveled to Abilene. The JV boys golf team had a meet at home, and the JV baseball team played at home versus Chapman. The JV softball team traveled to Rock Creek, and there was another FFA banquet in the high school. On April 10th, the sophomores took state assessments. The varsity boys golf team traveled to Chapman. The JV track team traveled to Abilene. The boys tennis team traveled to Concordia. And softball and baseball played at home versus Beloit. On April 11th, the sophomores took state assessments again, and the Envirothon team traveled to Wilson. On April 12th, the FFA livestock judging team traveled to Hutchinson. The JV boys golf team traveled to Wamego. The varsity boys golf team traveled to Salina, and the JV boys tennis team traveled to Marysville. On April 13th, the track team was split. One group went to Rock Creek and one group went to Wichita, and the spring play took place. On April 14th, the ACT test was held at the high school, and the spring play was performed again. On April 16th and 17th, the sophomores took math state assessments. On April 16th, FFA livestock judging was at Belleville. The varsity boys golf team traveled to Wamego. JV baseball went to Wamego, and there was a Board of Education meeting. On April 17th, varsity baseball, softball, varsity boys golf, and varsity boys tennis all traveled to Abilene. On April 18th, the Acacia Music Festival was held in Concordia. Quarter 4 progress reports were sent out, and there was a girls' tennis meeting. On April 19th, there was a site council meeting. JV boys tennis team traveled to Marysville, and JV baseball played at home versus Abilene. On April 20th, school was dismissed at 1 o'clock. The track team traveled to Abilene. The varsity baseball team played at home versus Riley County, and softball traveled to southeast of Saline. Prom took place on April 21st. On April 23rd, the varsity boys golf team traveled to Concordia. The JV baseball team played at home versus Concordia, and the JV softball team traveled to Salina to play Sacred Heart. On April 24th, senior send-off took place at Wakefield. The JV track team had their home meet, and the baseball and softball teams played Marysville at home. On April 25th, spring pictures were taken. There was an NCKL art show at Chapman, and a 3-sports banquet at the high school. On April 26th, the varsity boys golf team hosted their invitational, and the JV baseball team played Marysville at home. On April 27th, State Envirothon was held at Salina. The varsity track team traveled to Beloit. The varsity boys tennis team hosted the NCKL meet, and the varsity baseball and softball team traveled to Rock Creek. This has been an update on high school news for the month of April. I now send it back to Jacob and Brayden in the studio.
Thank you, Evan, for getting us caught up on all the news around the school.
Hey, Brayton, do you know what time it is?
What?
It's Nicky Y, the Science Guy's time.
Here's Nick and Nick for their segment, Nicky Y, the Science Guy.
Let there be lights. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nicky Y Science Guy. I'm Nicky Y.
And I'm Nick the Guy.
And today, since we're so shockingly about to leave your lives, we're going to be talking about currents and electricity. And for example, since we're at the light of your lives, we're going to be using a light bulb. So what a current is a path that electricity flows through. So we're going to start from one side of the battery to the other. So as the current passes through one wire, through the light bulb, to the other wire, to the other side of the battery. One cannot work without the other because the current would be incomplete. This is called a simple circuit.
The flow of energy is called a transmission, and the longer the transmission, the more energy is lost through the heat.
Exactly. So over time, the battery will drain itself. Well, since this is our last episode, we would like to thank you all for watching. We're gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you, Nick. Anyways, thank you for watching Nicky Y Science Guy. I'm Nicky Y.
And I'm Nick the Guy.
We are signing off for the final time.
Thank you, Nick and Nick, for that interesting Nicky Y the Science Guy segment.
So, Jacob, how's golf been doing?
I believe we've been doing pretty good so far.
Have you been to any other sporting events?
I've been to a couple of baseball and softball games, yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, it's a good thing we have some of the cast from TNT to get us caught up on all the sports news.
Hello, I am Evan Rosenau, reporting for Tiger News Television on the Lady Tigers softball team. The Lady Tigers have been looking very good to start the season. The Lady Tigers played Salina Central and Junction City on March 29th. The Lady Tigers beat Salina Central 8-0 and Junction City 11-5. The Lady Tigers then played Wamego on April 5th. The Lady Tigers won the first game 9-8 and then won easier in the second game 11-1. The Lady Tigers then played Beloit on April 12th. The Lady Tigers played well again these two games. The Lady Tigers swept the Lady Trojans. They moved to 8-0 on the season. The Lady Tigers' next game was on April 17th at Abilene in a key NCKL matchup against the Cowgirls. The Lady Tigers played very well again and ended up sweeping the Cowgirls to improve to 10-0 on the season. Their next game was on April 20th. The Lady Tigers played at Southeast of Saline, a non-league opponent. The Lady Tigers dominated again, sweeping Southeast of Saline to move to 12-0 on the season. The Lady Tigers' next game was on April 24th versus the Lady Bulldogs of Marysville. The Lady Tigers grinded out a 5-3 win in the first game. The Lady Tigers won easier in the second game, 16-1. The Lady Tigers moved to 14-0 on the season. The next update on the team will be in the May show. We want to wish the Lady Tigers the best of luck on the rest of their season. This has been Evan Rosenau, reporting for Tiger News Television on Tiger Softball. I now send it to Precious to talk about the Tiger track team.
Running, jumping, throwing has never been so much fun than with this track team. I'm Precious Smith from Tiger News Television, and I sat down with some of the members to talk about track.
Hi, I'm Anna Spellman and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Janessa Wickersham and I'm a senior.
I do the mile and the 2 mile.
I do long jump and the javelin.
I believe the 2 miles harder just because it requires a bit more preparation.
I think javelin is harder because I'm kind of new at it.
I'd like to do track in college, but if it doesn't work out with the college I would like to go to, I'll probably just start running marathons.
I'm doing track at Bethany next year.
Once again, I'm Precious Smith for Tiger News Television, and I'm sending this to Nate to talk about baseball.
Hello, I'm Nate Leiby, reporting for Tiger News Television on Tiger Baseball. The Tiger baseball team started out their season with their first doubleheader at Chapman. The Tigers won the first game by a score of 7-3. Sophomore Will Rose now pitched a complete game and got the win on the mound for the Tigers. In the second game, the Tigers fell behind 5-0 in the early innings and could not complete the comeback and lost by a score of 11-4. The Tigers' next game was at home against the Royal Valley Panthers. The Tigers came out strong and ended both games in 5 innings by run rule. The first game was 11-0 and the second game was 10-0. Garrett Brim and Skylar Merritt picked up the wins on the mound. The Tigers' third doubleheader was also at home versus the Wamego Red Raiders. This was their second league game of the year. The Tigers started out strong, taking a 5-1 lead early and holding it for most of the game. Wamego strung out a few hits in the final innings to take the lead in the 7th. The Tigers couldn't rally back and were defeated in Game 1 by a score of 6-5. In the second game of the evening, the Tigers hit extremely well and pulled away from Wamego to win by run rule with the score of 13-3. Skylar Merritt pitched the win for the Tigers. Their record was now 2-2 in the league and 4-2 overall. After Wamego, the Tigers played another home doubleheader, this time versus Beloit. The Tigers jumped on the Trojans early and won 10-0 in 5 innings. Will Rose now threw a no-hitter for the Tigers and picked up the win on the mound. The second game was back and forth. Beloit started out with the lead, and the Tigers regained the lead later on. It was tied 5-5 going into the 7th inning. Beloit scored a run on an error in the top of the 7th to gain the lead 6-5. The Tigers couldn't answer in the bottom half and lost the game. The Tiger baseball team was now 5-3 on the season. Their next game was on the road versus NCKL opponent Abilene. The Tigers played a tight first game versus Abilene. Both teams struggled early to get base runners, and the game went into extra innings with a score of 0-0. The Tigers scored 1 run in the top of the 8th inning and shut out Abilene in the bottom half to win 1-0. Garrett Bram pitched the win for the Tigers. The second game was very different, as the Tigers started out strong, scoring 5 runs in the first 2 innings. The Tigers extended their lead, adding a few runs in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings to win 12-0 in 5 innings by run rule. Skylar Merritt picked up the win pitching. The Tigers were now 4-2 overall in the NCKL and 7-3 overall. Their next game was at home versus undefeated Riley County. The Tigers started out the first game with an early lead, but Riley County strung out a few hits in the late innings and won 9-7. The second game was back and forth as well. The lead changed 3 times in the game, but Riley County pulled out 8-5 win. The Tigers fell to 7-5 on the season and remained 4-2 in the NCKL. The Tigers' next home game was versus Marysville on senior night. The Tigers won the first game 10-1. The Tigers won the second game 3-2 and swept the Marysville Bulldogs. The Tigers were now 6-2 in the NCKL and 9-5 overall. This has been Nate Leiby reporting on the Tiger baseball team. We will give another update on the team in May as the spring sports season start to wind down. I now send it to Brayton Williams to talk about Tiger tennis.
Tiger tennis team hosted NCKL for the first time since the sport started up again here at the high school. The teams that were there included Chapman, Concordia, Marysville, Abilene, and Clay Center. Boys got 3rd overall, including Brayton Williams and Holden Heigl, getting 2nd personally. The matches started at 2:45 and lasted until about 8:30. A very long match for a tennis meet. The boys will have regionals at Abilene on Thursday, May 3rd, and Friday, May 4th. Good luck.
Hello, and welcome to Tiger Golf. My name is Jacob Ruiz, and I will catch you up on the Tiger Golf season for the month of April. On Monday, April 9th, JV played at home at 4 o'clock. At the Clay Center JV Invitational, the weather was cold and rather breezy. These conditions didn't stop the Tigers from scoring good. The Tigers had 5 players place in the top 10. The Tigers' best scorer was Dustin Rose, who placed first in the tournament with a score of 47. Dagan Ware placed second with a score of 50. Gannon Odell placed third with a score of 51. Josh Bingosh placed 7th with a score of 55. And Aaron Jones placed 8th with a score of 56. The Tigers had a B, C, and Wakefield team at the tournament. Wakefield took first place as a team with a score of 219. B team took second with a score of 221, and C team took fourth with a score of 239. A note from Coach Alberg: our guys played okay today. Our preparation seemed pretty good for this type of weather. Our guys do not complain about weather. That is smart because we sure can't control it. Tuesday, April 10th, varsity was at Chapman at 1 o'clock. The weather in Chapman was windy and a little cool. The Tigers took 4 guys to the tournament. Ty Fitzenmeyer was the best scorer on the team for this tournament. Ty shot a 53 on the front 9, but ended strong on the back 9, shooting a 40, totaling his score to a 93. Nathan Fox shot a 51 in the front 9 and a 50 in the back 9, totaling his score to a 101. Isaac Lee shot a 53 on the front 9 and a 56 on the back 9, totaling his score to 109. Spencer Paget shot a 56 on the front 9 and a 65 on the back 9, totaling his score to a 121. The Tigers as a team took 4th place with a score of 424. A note from Coach Alberg: this was our first tournament of the season and there is still much time for us to improve. We just got to keep working at it. Thursday, April 12th, varsity was at Salina Sacred Heart at 1 o'clock. The weather in Salina was warm and breezy. The Tigers took 6 guys to the Sacred Heart tournament. Ty Fitzenmeyer was the number 1 scorer for the Tigers. Ty shot a 45 on the front 9 and stayed consistent, shooting a 45 on the back 9 for a total score of 90. Nathan Fox shot a 46 on the front 9 and a 48 on the back 9 for a total score of 94. Spencer Paget shot a 49 on the front 9 and a 47 on the back 9 for a total score of 96. Dustin Rose shot a 54 on the front 9 and a 45 on the back 9 for a total score of 99. Isaac Lee shot a 48 on the front 9 and a 55 on the back 9 for a total score of 103. Gannon Odell shot a 59 on the front 9 and a 63 on the back 9 for a total score of 122. The Tigers finished 4th with a team score of 379. A note from Coach Alberg: "We played okay today. We left plenty of strokes out there today. Sacred Heart is the defending 2A state champions and are really strong again this year. It's always good to play an 18-hole course, and it was a real game of golf today." The Salina Sacred Heart tournament was supposed to be on March 29th, but was postponed. Monday, April 16th, varsity was at Wamego at 1 o'clock. The weather in Wamego was cloudy and cool. The Tigers took 6 guys to the Wamego varsity tournament. Ty Fitzenmeyer was the Tigers' #1 scorer, and Ty shot a 48 on the front 9 and stayed consistent, shooting a 48 on the back 9, totaling his score to 96. Nathan Fox shot a 47 in the front 9 and a 53 on the back 9, totaling his score to 100. Aaron Jones shot a 51 on the front 9 and a 55 on the back 9, totaling his score to 106. Isaac Lee shot a 55 on the front 9 and a 57 on the back 9, totaling his score to 112. Spencer Paget shot a 59 on the front 9 and stayed consistent on the back 9, shooting another 59, totaling his score to 118. Dustin Rose shot a 58 on the front 9 and a 60 on the back 9, totaling his score to 118. As a team, the Tigers had a score of 414 and placed 4th. A note from Coach Alberg: "We have plenty of work to do." Tuesday, April 17th, varsity was at Abilene at 9 o'clock. The weather was decent in Abilene. The Tigers took 6 guys to the Abilene varsity tournament. Ty Fitzenmeyer was the #1 scorer for the Tigers and placed 4th. Ty shot a 43 on the front 9 and a 42 on the back 9, totaling his score to 85. Nathan Fox placed 6th. Nathan shot a 44 on the front 9 and a 43 on the back 9, totaling his score to an 87. Dustin Rose shot a 48 on the front 9 and a 51 on the back 9, totaling his score to a 99. Isaac Lee shot a 53 on the front 9 and a 50 on the back 9, totaling his score to a 103. Spencer Paget shot a 54 on the front 9 and a 52 on the back 9, totaling his score to a 106. Dagan Ware shot a 55 on the front 9 and a 57 on the back 9, totaling his score to a 112. The Tigers got a team score of 374 and placed 4th. A note from Coach Alberg: "We had a better effort today. Ty played more of a normal round and Nathan had a good performance." The tournament scheduled for April 19th at Seneca Nemaha Valley has been canceled. Monday, April 23rd, varsity was at Concordia at 3 o'clock. The weather in Concordia was nice. The Tigers took 6 guys to the Concordia varsity tournament. Ty Fitzenmeyer was the #1 scorer for the Tigers and placed 5th. Ty shot a 44 on the front 9 and a 37 on the back 9, totaling his score to an 81. Nathan Fox shot a 46 on the front 9 and a 43 on the back 9, totaling his score to an 89. Spencer Paget shot a 54 on the front 9 and a 41 on the back 9, totaling his score to a 95. Isaac Lee shot a 53 on the front 9 and a 55 on the back 9, totaling his score to a 108. Aaron Jones and Braden Dorman tied with the same score. They scored a 54 on the front 9 and a 56 on the back 9. Both scored a 110. A note from Coach Alberg. Some of our guys played solid golf today on the back nine. Thursday, April 26th, varsity was at home at 3 o'clock. Due to the timing of our show, I will have to inform you of the results from the tournaments on April 26th and April 30th on the May segment. Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Tiger Golf. I now send it to Brayton and myself in the studio. Thank you to all the TNT crew for catching us up on school sports.
Jacob, have you seen the Tiger House since the last production?
No, I have not. The last production was the last time I saw the Tiger House.
Well, I'm excited to see how it looks now. So here's Nate to tell us more.
Hello, I'm Nate Leiby, reporting for Tiger News Television on the Tiger House for the month of April. The Tiger House is near completion. Students began working on the house back in early September of 2017 in Mr. Kelly's Construction Tech 1, 2, and 3 classes. They started with the floor and then moved to the subfloor, then built and raised the walls, finished the roof, and began interior work such as installing cabinets, putting up drywall, mudding the drywall, and painting. One of the final steps, which is being worked on now, is putting on the siding on the exterior walls of the house. Construction Tech teacher Mr. Kelly said he anticipates the house will be completed and ready to move sometime in the next month. Mr. Kelly also said he is very pleased with how the house has come along, and he said he thought the experience was good for all of his students. This was his first year building a Tiger House, and he says it was a very good experience, and he hopes to do another one next school year. This has been Nate Leiby reporting for Tiger News Television on the Tiger House. I now send it back to Jacob and Brayton in the studio.
Thank you, Nate, for that Tiger House update.
For all of you that see students walk out of the building during the day, especially seniors, they're going to internship, whether you knew that or not.
Let's send it out to Cooper to get us all caught up with what goes on behind the scenes with internship.
Hello, Mr. Oderman. What are some requirements to do internship?
Well, for internship, there's 2 pathways that we have complete that you can do internship as a pathway completer in. First one is ag, second one is nursing. We are working on a third one right now with through education, and that one will be expected to probably next year and a half, 2 years maybe, be ready for that one.
What are some eligible places to work?
Eligible places to work, you have to be related to your pathway, whatever you're using the internship credits for completing the pathway in. So if you're doing an ag, we require that you have to be at an agricultural facility, such as a farm, ranch, agricultural store, mechanical work in the shops, or something of that nature. But it has to be approved by the teacher ahead of time, and you should have a job lined up for the following year.
How does the grading system work?
I do a very unique grading system. Right now, the employer just fills out a sheet for you. You're required to do some journal entries every couple weeks on the computer. And then from there, it's reporter back and forth from the employer and the student, and the teacher will communicate back and forth. And as long as you're doing your work at your employer and you're filling out your requirements, right now the grading is complete like that. In following years, we're going to look at requiring you to do some kind of proficiency award application, and with that will be your final grade with that.
When a student goes to their job, what is expected, like behavior-wise, or do you tell them anything before they leave?
Behavioral-wise, it is same things that you would do at any job. You're required to show up on time. You're required to let your employer know when you're going to be gone. Even if it's a school day that we don't have school and you think you should show up to work for your employer, unless you arranged the day off with your employer. We treat it just like a job, full time. If you're not at your job, you should be at school, observing with Mr. Oderman or whoever's your supervising teacher.
Okay, thank you. Today I'm here with Caleb and Anthony over internship. So how do you guys like it?
It's a great experience.
It's a lot of fun.
Do you guys work at the same place?
Yes.
What would that place be?
Public utilities.
What do you guys do on the job?
During the summer, we weed eat, mow, help at the pond, a lot of things around the zoo.
Caleb, what is the hardest thing you guys do?
Weed eating the pond. If you ever drive by the zoo and look at the pond and you see the big hills on the pond, we have to weed eat those. They don't mow them. We have to weed eat them. It sucks.
That does not sound fun at all. What is the funnest part of internship?
Getting paid.
Getting paid. What about you?
I enjoy the paychecks.
Paychecks. Okay. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Cooper. Jacob, do you know what forensics is?
No, I'm not sure what forensics is, but I have a feeling that Precious could inform us all about forensics.
This year's forensics team is going strong. With a coach like Mrs. Blackburn and captains like Olivia Young, Nicole Ryan, and Precious Smith, it's no wonder that we have 16 events qualified for state and 1 qualified for nationals in Florida. I sat down with the seniors to learn more about forensics.
Nicole Ryan, I've been doing forensics for 4 years now.
I'm Olivia Young, I've been doing forensics for 3 years.
I am Samantha Scrivere, and I've been doing forensics for a year.
I'm Joanna Shirley, and I've been doing this for 2 years.
I am Dakota Johnson, and I have been doing forensics for 2 years.
I do poetry and prose, and this year I performed a serious solo.
I do poetry, prose, and I did an informative speech this year.
I did poetry, an informative speech, and a serious solo.
I do prose, duet, and DI.
I've done poetry, prose, humorous solo, IDA, impromptu. Am I missing anything?
One of my favorite memories is when we went to a forensics tournament a couple years ago. We got everybody in the entire tournament to sing happy birthday to Olivia Young when it was not her birthday. She was very embarrassed, and I thought it was very funny.
What's your favorite memory?
My favorite memory was probably state my sophomore year, because we all went and we had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of good snacks.
And what's your memory? The first day that we were in the class where a bunch of people came thinking it was the forensic science class.
Favorite memory would be the first time that I actually broke and got a medal.
My favorite memory is last year, me and Asa were doing an IDA and he split his pants and it was funny. So he wore a blanket around himself the entire tournament.
State and nationals have yet to happen. I'm Preston Smith for Tiger News Television, sending this back to the studio.
I'm Braden.
And I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you next time on
TNT.